welcome to 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I live in Northern Virginia in Gardening Zone 7A. Today I want to walk you through how I cold stratify native plant seeds. Hello everyone. So today I'm going to do a video on cold stratification. So the other day I did an introduction and we'll go to that in a minute or two, but I forgot to clearly define a couple terms. So first one being cold stratification or stratification. So stratification is the process whereby you or nature is breaking the dormancy of a seed to allow it to germinate. So today we're going to be using the cold stratification process. So to do that, you have to put those seeds in a damp, moist, cold environment. And for those specific seeds, that's what breaks their dormancy and allows them to germinate. So that's stratification and cold stratification. So next up is local ecotype. So where I live, I have a nursery, Earth Sangha. They sell local ecotype plants. So they're able to go out and forage for seeds. They have permission to do so, and on private lands, maybe on public lands, wherever they get their seeds. But they're local here. So they're collecting local seeds and they're using those local ecotype seeds to plant the plants that they end up selling to their customers. And those seeds, local ecotype seeds, are a subspecies of the straight species, so that they have the DNA genetics that allow them to thrive in this specific area. So if they were collecting white oak seeds, let's say, that from this area and planting that plant, that tree, that white oak tree is going to have a better chance at survival and being able to cope with the elements here in Northern Virginia Zone 7A than it would in Miami, Florida or Portland, Maine. So that's local ecotype. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to my introduction video. The reason why I am cold stratifying my seeds right now in the middle of the summer is because I want to fake them out. I want them to think that they're going through a winter season, and then I'm going to wake them up. I'm going to put them in some flats to germinate, and then once that happens, they'll be able to start to grow and build a root system. And so next spring, when they emerge again, they're going to be a bigger, stronger plant. This is especially useful for biennials like Penstemon digitalis, tall bellflower, those types of plants. You really benefit from getting that head start in the late summer, fall, so that you can get your blooms the next spring or summer. So the seeds that we're going to cold stratify today were purchased from Prairie Moon Nursery. Prairie Moon Nursery sells seeds, native plant seeds, and native plants in the Midwest. So they're not local ecotype seeds, but they are the straight species. So what I have going on today, I have Shorts Aster. I love asters, and I need way more asters in the landscape for those late pollinators, and also for a little more color later in the summer and the fall. So I'm going to try Shorts Aster. It's a part shade type plant, and it needs medium to dry soil. So I have a perfect place down in the back. I'm going to intermix them with some royal fern. Next up is rose milkweed. So rose milkweed is also known as swamp milkweed, and the pollinators and the monarchs love this plant. You want to plant it in a wet or damp location in full sun. It takes 2 years to get blooms on these guys, which is okay, because what you really want the milkweed for is for the monarchs to lay their eggs, and then the leaves are there for those eggs when they hatch and the caterpillars come out and the caterpillars have something to eat. They want the milkweed leaves. Of course, the milkweed blooms are great for the butterflies and other pollinators, but for my sake, I I really just care about getting more and more of those caterpillars in my environment. Also, the deer typically eat my milkweed. They don't eat it down to stop, so they leave enough for the monarchs, but that sacrifices the blooms. So I've only had a few blooms over the course of time that I've had rose or swamp milkweed. The blooms are very beautiful though. Okay, next up is lance leaf coreopsis. Lance leaf coreopsis has such a beautiful, sunny, happy bloom, and those blooms are very, very attractive to the pollinators. Bees absolutely love them. So I just really want to put this plant massed and all over the landscape, in little spots all over the landscape, because it just provides a pop of color during that dead time between spring and summer, especially when you plant native plants. There's just that period of time where there are no blooms, and lance leaf coreopsis is one that I found will start blooming during that time and give you some color. The other one, which I'm not messing with today, is fire pink. Fire pinks are gorgeous plants, and they provide just brilliant a pinky red color. And I actually collected some seed off of mine from this year. They were all sold out at Prairie Moon. So hopefully closer to the fall, Prairie Moon will be back in stock with some more seed, because I just want to take the fire pink and the lance leaf coreopsis and just mass them individually at different points in the yard. So that dead zone, I still have color during that dead zone. Then I have Pearly Everlasting. Okay, so Pearly Everlasting has that really beautiful silvery blue hairy type leaf, sort of like lamb's ear. So I would say that it's a good replacement. It's a good native replacement for lamb's ear. And then the American Lady Butterfly, absolutely love these, and Lady's Tobacco. And Lady's Tobacco also has that same type of leaf, that hairy silvery blue type leaf. And when I had Lady's Tobacco the last time, it was no time at all where I had the caterpillars on the leaves, eating up the leaves, and then turning into the American Lady Butterfly. So I definitely want to get that going again. And then finally, I am cold stratifying two different indigos. One is the Dwarf Blue Indigo, and then the Yellow Large Indigo. These are absolutely great plants to have in your landscape. They are from the pea family, or they are in the pea family, and so they're nitrogen fixers. Oh my gosh, there is a hummingbird, right? Okay, there was a hummingbird looking at me. So anyway, they're nitrogen fixers for the soil. They're really good for the soil even when they die back, because those roots will have nitrogen in them. So for the indigos, the deer don't eat the indigos in my yard. So I love having them everywhere. Their blooms are gorgeous and different. They don't last long enough though, so you have to really appreciate them when they're there. And then when those blooms go over, they develop black seed pods that are really cool in the landscape. So the indigos are bush-like, especially the large ones. I don't have any experience yet with the dwarf, but they're bush-like and in a round shape, so it's nice to have that shrub-like appearance in the borders. They do flop when they're young, so you have to stake them. I still stake my big ones. I just take a tomato cage and open it up and kind of wrap it around a little bit. So anyway, I hope you enjoy my video and my instructions about how I cold stratify plants. So let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, so welcome back to my kitchen. Obviously, we're going to do cold stratification on the seeds today. So what I have here in front of me is a bowl with some water, a plate. I have 1 quart freezer bags, which I hate one-use plastics or plastics in general, but I will reuse these after I use them for these seeds. I have organic coffee filters. I have a Sharpie, scissors, and my seeds. So this is what I do. I take 1 coffee filter, get it wet, Give it a little squeeze. You don't want it too wet. You just want it like a little more than moist, I'd say. And then I put it down on the plate, and then we'll do lance leaf coreopsis first. Okay. I love lance leaf coreopsis. It's such a sunny plant. It's a perfect plant for pops of color throughout your yard. I'm gonna put this everywhere next year. I probably will buy a ton more from Prairie Moon. So I just gently empty my seed packet in this onto the coffee filter. It just seems a little dry, so I'll just give it a little bit more water. Okay, and then I fold it over into a square. I fold the coffee filter over into a square. Here, here. So each side of the coffee filter, send it to a square. Okay, so here's my little pack. And then I'm gonna get my quart freezer bag. You have to name and you must date it so you remember. Lance leaf coreopsis. Gently put it in here. So that's that one, super easy. So then I'm gonna do Pearly Everlasting. Okay, so these are tiny little ones. So I just try and stay in the middle. Fold them all over, and it allows you to easily check on them. Because if you see some that start sprouting, you'll want to go ahead and take those out. Okay. And then fold it over. These aren't the easiest, especially the small ones are not the easiest in the world to then plant out. You just kind of got to put your finger and put it, get a finger of wet seeds and then put it in the in the dirt in your flat or whatever container you're using, but okay, so this is Pearly Everlasting. Goes right in there. Okay, next up is Short's Aster. Trying to use more asters in the landscape. I really need more color, especially right now because the spring plants are gone, the spring blooms are gone, the summer blooms are going over. I have a lot of Joe Pye, which is providing color, but I definitely need more fall color and plants for the pollinators in the landscape. So, Short's Aster. I'm gonna actually put these, my thought is to put these down in the woodland garden where I have Royal Fern. What do I have down there? I have Royal Fern, I have a sedge down there, and some golden Alexanders. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them, put these Short's Asters in between the Royal Fern. So with what I've noticed with ferns, when designing your gardens and your landscape, they come up so late. So the green that you want for them, maybe around some of the spring blooms, they just aren't ready to come up out of the ground. So in that patch of Royal Fern, I am just going to put. This is exactly where those asters are going to go, so that the greenery starts coming up. The greenery starts coming up before the ferns, so it doesn't look, desolate. And so I don't know if you saw, I kind of accidentally dumped these all in one space, so I'm moving them around a little bit. Because if you have them spaced out just a little bit, then it's easier when you go to plant them. So this is Short's Aster. Uh-oh. See, don't get your Ziploc bags wet, because then you can't ever, it takes forever for it to dry so you can write on it. I'll make sure these are zipped all the way before I put them in the refrigerator and freezer. Okay, next up is the rose milkweed. So swamp milkweed, rose milkweed, so great for the monarchs. And again, this is what that looks like. And you see how it's kind of semi-transparent. What I do is if they're in there, if I actually use like the 30 or 60 or 90 days, I'll check these every couple weeks and make sure there isn't anything rotting or something like that. Probably won't need to do that this time because we're going to use the freezer. Okay, next up, Dwarf Blue Indigo. Oh, I love these. Okay. Note to anybody who watches this that actually, follows what I'm doing. Label all your plastic bags first. Then the Sharpie will stick. The Sharpie ink. My gosh, there's literally like 10 seeds in here. I do love Prairie Moon though. And especially because they started doing stickers. I got a great sticker this last time. I hope they do more of them. Okay. What are we doing? We're doing a Dwarf Blue Indigo. Okay. And then, let's see, that's something else. Okay, the last one we're gonna do is the large yellow wild indigo. Such a great plant. Once you start planting your own natives, you have to collect the seeds. I mean, you don't have to. You can go buy native plants from the local native nurseries, which is great, but it's just so fulfilling to collect seeds from your own plants that you've planted from seed, that you've purchased, and then, I'm a total nerd that way. Folding in a square. And then I'm gonna get my baggie. And this is large yellow indigo. Okay, so that was large yellow indigo, and then I'm gonna separate the large yellow indigo with the Dwarf Blue Indigo. From my introduction video, I think I said that these are both 10-day cold stratification timelines. So these are just gonna go into my refrigerator and then will stay there for 10 days. I'm not gonna do anything with them. So I'm just gonna put a reminder in my calendar to take them out of the refrigerator in 10 days. Easy, okay. The other ones are all 30-day cold stratification. So we have Shorts Aster, Rose Milkweed, Lance Leaf Coreopsis, and Pearly Everlasting, 30-day cold stratification. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these guys, have a separate pile, and they're gonna go into the refrigerator until tomorrow the same time, so 24 hours, okay? So I'm gonna set an alarm for 24 hours from when I put them in the refrigerator. And then when that alarm goes off, I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna put them in my freezer. And I'm gonna put them in my freezer for a minimum of 12 hours. You could actually do 24, but I found that doing like 24 hours in the refrigerator and then 12 to 18 hours in the freezer and then back into the refrigerator for 24 hours, that cycle seems to work a little bit better for me and for germination rates. So anyway, I'll put these in the refrigerator. I'm gonna set an alarm for 24 hours. When that alarm goes off, I'm just gonna put them into the freezer. Then I'm gonna set another alarm for, depending on what time it is during the day and when I think I'm gonna go to bed, for 12 to 18 hours. And then when that alarm goes off, I'm gonna put them back in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And I'm gonna do that cycle for about 7 days. Probably, maybe 7 to 10 since these are already gonna be in the refrigerator. So even though the cold stratification timeline for these is 30 days, you can use the freezer to speed that up. Now, I didn't come up with that. I found that from a woman who has a native plant nursery. I think she's in Maine. I'm going to put her link in my description because she has a lot of really good information on her website. She also has a book, but she's the one that showed me, not personally, but on her videos and whatever, that you could use the freezer. I think she does the 24-hour process. But anyway, so you can get a lot of good information on her website. She has a really cool prairie flowers book that I have. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right now, or the name of her nursery, but it will be in my description. So anyway, are there any questions? If there are, put them below. I'm happy to answer them. Do you cold stratify your plants? And if you do you do anything differently? Do you do anything have you done anything where you found that it increases the germination rate? You know, just leave me some feedback and let me know what you do or any questions you have about what I do. So thank you everyone for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. You can always like and subscribe if, you know, this content appeals to you. So anyway, thank you so much.